if you are assessing the entire value chain. So this was what happened, and then I pivoted to a B2C model directly. So it was me now, my website, customer comes to my website, I acquire the merchant, so the value chain had shortened. So I thought, okay, fine, now it will most likely work. So then I went out and started talking to merchants, and this process went on for a bit. So I did reasonably well with the B2B bit of it. So merchant acquisition was going on well. In 6 months, I acquired about 150 merchants, mostly alone, because I had no co-founder, and anybody I pitched this idea to join me as a co-founder found it too risky, because at that point of time, Deals business was saturated. Everybody had Snapdeal and Deals and You, MyDala, all those people on top of their mind. And they said, you can't differentiate enough. I could have possibly done it as a completely mobile oriented solution with no payments required and some kind of loyalty, etc. Crap that I was thinking of. But it was not a serious enough differentiator in the customer's mind. And if you are not, I was personally not very good with the B2C bit. I couldn't really figure it out. My website never, when I started collecting feedback on why people are not taking this, the main feedback that I got is your website does not give me any clear differentiator how you are different from any other business. So if you want to be in a B2C environment, especially, B2B is a different ball game, since there are one-to-one interactions. There is some scope to explain how you are different, build some kind of personal relationship. In B2C, it's very unforgiving. If you are not able to convince the customer within the first 15-20 seconds, especially for a e-website kind of a thing, within the first 15-20 seconds, why they should spend even one more second on your website, you're going to lose them. So have a clear differentiator and make sure that differentiator gets communicated as soon as the customer lands on your website. I didn't do that, and probably that was one of the major reasons of failure. Now this happened, I tried this pivot sometime in October 2011, worked for about 5-6 months, acquiring more and more customers. And in between, I came across 2 VAS companies. So अभी तक वो VAS का कीड़ा गया नहीं था, because I thought it is the panacea to my problems. If the B2C bit which I am goofing up can be pushed on to somebody else, somebody does the customer acquisition and I can focus only on merchant acquisition, I can still make this work, because I had fine-tuned that bit of the business, acquiring merchants, fairly well. So I tried doing that. So these 2 VAS companies said that we want to launch a deal service, but we want to focus only on operator relationship and technology and blah blah blah. Why will you do merchant acquisition for us? You just have to come and dump the deals onto our platform. We will promote them, we will acquire them, we will sell those coupons, and we will do a revenue share on that. So I was again a little pumped about this. Turned out you can't trust anybody in VAS. So I had a verbal agreement with them sometime in April 2012, but by June 2012, nothing had materialized on ground. So their service had not gotten approved. It was nowhere close to going live. And I had, in the anticipation of something working out, I had wasted 3 more months and burned through more cash. So with this, by June, I was a bit of a floater. I did not know where this venture was going. And this is when it started first hitting me that it's not going to work. And it's a failure. I have to accept it. But this is where the trickiest bit of your startup journey will come. By this time, I had not realized this, but subconsciously this is the feedback that other people were not even giving me. They were giving my parents, that Rahul seems very detached. He is not social. He doesn't come out. He doesn't interact with a lot of people, because you are sick of going out and people asking you, hey, धंधा कैसे चल रहा है? And every month after month you are saying, ho raha hai. You can't. I mean, beyond a point you'd say, I don't want to hear that question anymore. I don't want people asking me, how's your business going? They do it with the bestest of intentions. I don't deny that. But you get very tired of hearing and telling them that no, it's not working out yet. And giving them false promise, false hope that yeah, something is on the horizon when you know you are bullshitting them. So that bit is something that I realized very, very later. In fact, quite recently. Another thing is, you also start avoiding your friends, the closest of friends, because you know you go out with them for a night of eating out and drinking, you are spending $600 you have not earned yet. You can't do that. You don't feel like spending anything because you feel that you haven't earned it. You feel somewhat embarrassed that, damn it, this is not what I can't still go to my mom and say, give me $500, I want to go out with my friend. That seems juvenile at the age of 28. So you don't feel like doing that, and this is the saddest bit of failing. If you start becoming unsocial, if you start avoiding people because you start feeling embarrassed about not having done well, because everybody now I am ka banda hai, they already have built up expectation, unrealistic expectation that his success is given. 2 years working in a corporate life, he would have been here. Now he is here. Why the steep gap? And you don't feel like you can explain to them anymore why it's happening. And this was the toughest period. And this phase, I think, lasted from about March 2012 to September 2012, when I finally decided to pull the plug. And this was my last big lesson. Knowing when to shut down your startup is as important as knowing when to start it. If you can't pull the plug, if you get emotional about it, if you start deluding yourself that something will work out, it doesn't work that way. You have to be very, very decisive. You have to be very clear. If it's not working, try to be as dispassionate about it as possible and say, okay, fine, let me shut it down and try something else. But you can't wander around aimlessly, which I was doing. And this also I did not realize on my own. One of my fellow head starters. So essentially from 2011, I've also been part of another non-profit organization called Head Start, of which I'm the Mumbai chapter lead. It's again a network of entrepreneurs. What we are, so I was working with this, and one of our directors who's based in Delhi had come down for an event in September. He specifically called me on a Saturday and said, I want to talk to you. I came to meet him, and he asked me, so Rahul, क्या चल रहा है? I said, हाँ ये इसमें ऐसा हो रहा है, so I am trying this. He said, who are you kidding? He said, it's not working and it's high time you accept it. I said, okay, fine, I have got this another idea that I am working on, and I was so stupid. This another idea was something to do with GPS tracking of best buses, and I had not learned my lesson of not working with the government again. And I was still hopeful that something can be made of this. And he said, stop this nonsense. If you don't realize it, I'll make you realize that your family has expectations from you. You are not in this alone. You cannot do it for your pride. You cannot say that Rahul Chitgopkar, I am this, I am qualified, I am MBA, I cannot be a failure. You have to let go of that. Don't take it as a personal ego issue. Say that you have failed, shut it down, move on to something else. You want to be in the startup ecosystem? I said yes. He said there are a lot of interesting startups who would pay good money to have you, because you have good educational background. You have reasonable experience now running your own startup, and most important, you are still willing to take risks, and that is a commodity that is in great scarcity in today's startup environment. There are a lot of capable people who are just too afraid to leave their cushy job and take that plunge.